Hey guys, hello, welcome. Natalie, also known on Instagram for Divine Transmissions. So I wanted to get on and just talk about what happened this morning. So this morning, I'm starting to wake up, starting to like gain my consciousness, and I could hear in my head, something's wrong. And I was like, "Well, so what?" I'm going back to sleep. Something's wrong. And I'm like, who's saying that? Something's wrong. And I'm like, all right, whatever being is here, show themselves to me. What's wrong? I don't see anybody. I don't know beings show up. I don't get transported anywhere. I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I start going back to sleep again and I hear it again. Something's wrong. And I'm like, okay, guys, something is very wrong. Yes. So I'm like, okay, what could be happening here? So it's really difficult when your channel is not clear. Um, and when that happens, it's usually because of distortion through Gaia, through the energy fields of Gaia. The energy coming into the space is just not able to get a clear channel to come through. So I realized that was happening. And I put myself in a almost like a tub of water, and it was filled with white light, and I filled it with salt water. So I just imagined myself immersed in this tub of light water, and I added Saint Germain, who always comes in. He has a big selenite wand, and so he dipped his end of the wand into the water. So then I was like, okay, now I have a clear channel. What the heck is going on? Like, what's wrong? Um, and so I called to see what being was there. There's no being still. And I'm like, okay, I'm standing, my channel's open, it's clear, I'm waiting. And two other angels arrived. So I am in my archangel form, and the two other archangels arrive, and we stand hand in hand. There's three of us, and we have these bubbles around us. And we look like we've created this like molecule or nucleus, I guess. And so we start lifting, and they put a bubble around us as we lift, and we're flying out somewhere. We're floating basically out to somewhere. And we get to wherever we're going, and I can see a planet. We're approaching it, and I'm like, where is this? We're getting closer and closer. The planet looks okay, but then they give me an X-ray view of it, and I can see the center of this planet, and there's no light in the center of this planet. And I'm like, well, that's not normal. That's not good. So we get closer and closer. And as we get closer, we like all of a sudden we're floating and we like turn and get sucked into the center of this planet. And then once that happens, the entire planet like lights up and it's just like it's battery powered now. It's like everything's on. And so I'm like, "What is going on?" So I'm like, take myself out of the equation, and I'm like, "Okay, guys, this all played. What's the deal?" And so they're like, "But yeah, basically what happened was the energy that was in that planet had been placed there, um, by somebody that had been decommissioned. So they had to remove the energy out. And when they did that, the planet no longer was able to stay like energized or charged or activated. And it went dark. Like the energy level was there's no energy level. It just that almost like a toy when you take the battery out of the center of it, it doesn't operate anymore. So they removed that energy of that being or person or whatever, and the planet went dark. And so they had to send out a distress signal, and that was the signal that I was hearing when I was waking up. So something's wrong, something's wrong. And I was like, okay, so now is it fixed? And they're like, yeah, it's fixed now. And I said, so what was the damage that was done with the planet being offline like that? And so when a planet doesn't have um, basically its battery powering it, it begins to like lose its spot in the orbit of things. It begins to like drop. And so you can see it slowly kind of if it's supposed to be linked up with all the other planets, you can see it. It's like link, link, link. Oh, the drop down planet, and then link, link, link. The problem is all the planets that are linked together all charge each other. So this planet, his excess energy goes to the next one, his excess energy goes to the next one, and they all kind of like charge each other, and they all have to stay in alignment. And the charge from the next one and the next one all help keep each other in alignment. And so when this one went offline, it drooped, and I was like, crap. So we got it activated and energized and bumped back up, and then we had to restart the system. The system restarted, and it was good. So that was the morning mission. So that was pretty cool. Up and running, and then because um, because that planet had dropped, it was what was causing interference in Gaia's um, like auric space, energy fields, I guess. And so when that happens, it's hard for us, like channelers, to get clear channels because the distortion through that space. So I had to go through that whole process to get out of Gaia to be able to like look at what was going on, fix that problem, Gaia's space fixed, and then I could come back in and then get clear channel. So that was good, all fixed, everything was great. Later on in the day, I realized my gifts are becoming more and more 3D. So that's been kind of interesting to see the shift. It's become much more sensitive, and I have to be very specific about the questions that I ask. So today, I knew I was taking the kids to the park to play because they're like in the house and rambunctious. I'm like, I gotta get these kids out. They need to be outside playing. So I was like, I could go this way or I can go this way. There's 2 different parks. And as soon as I felt the energy of like going this way, I knew that was the right way to be going to get the kids to the park. Um, I didn't ask any more questions about it. I just put them in the car and drove to the city where that park was. We get to the park and everybody gets out and we're playing maybe half an hour and a lady approaches us and she's got the orange T-shirt on and the Child's Lives Matter T-shirts for the Indigenous school kids that were in the residential schools that lost their lives. And so she comes over and she's like, "Look, just so you know, we're going to be doing the march. We're all in orange. I want you to know that that's what we're doing, and you're welcome to join us if you'd like." And so she's like just telling everybody at the park. There's probably maybe 10, like 3 or 4 sets of parents and, like, a bunch of little kids. So she tells everybody, and we're like, "Oh, like, it's pretty cool, okay." So there's a large group, and they all start marching, and as soon as I heard the music, I, like, could feel my energy start flowing, and it instantly was like, "This is why they sent you here. You were sent here for this specific reason." That there was a march that was happening, and they needed a light worker, and I was like, "Ah, I got it now, I see." So I, like, kneeled down because I had my 2-year-old with me and the 4-year-old and 7-year-old. I pulled them all close. I'm kneeling down, and I'm, like, watching them, like, watching the kids, and I kinda have I kinda tipped myself or, like, I wasn't watching the parade face on, and I kinda, like, turned sideways diagonally so that I could see the parade, but I could also see my kids. And it was just the way that they wanted me to position myself so that I could, like, light language and, like, shukoi everything. And what happened was really cool because as the march started, it opened up almost not a portal, it was like a tunnel for them to walk through. And as they started to walk, they would go into the tunnel, the front of the tunnel, and they would, like, be coated with this, like, layer of protection, like, it just, like it's like I often will talk about put yourself in a bubble, but they couldn't put themselves in the bubble because I mean, they might have been able to, but I wouldn't have been sent there if they were to already have done that. So the fact that they were sending me there to open up this bubble, and they entered, and they, like, went into this bubble, and at the end of it the bubble sealed, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's really cool." Now, when I work with Indigenous individuals, I'll often see up in the sky, they call them spirit clouds or spirit people clouds. Um, and yeah, it was really interesting to see because as I was driving home, I expected to be able to see some of those spirit clouds. And I was like looking around in the sky and I'm like, it's really strange. see them. And usually when I do the work with indigenous individuals, I see them. They're everywhere. Their ancestors are in the sky. They're right there. And so like that's really strange. But I looked at the sun was setting and it was like right on the horizon and it was like bold and vibrant. And I was like, oh my gosh, guys. And then I got back, like, it was really powerful work, and I was like, "But where are the ancestors?" And they told me they're with the children. And I was like, "Oh, oh my goodness." I was like, "Oh, that makes so much sense. Yes, of course they're with the children." I'm like, "Huh." Because I also, can see spirits that have passed, and so when I was at the park, I didn't see any spirit children, and I didn't see or hear any during the march, and I was thinking, I maybe might see some. Sometimes you get ones that have some kind of requests that they want or asks of me. Um, and I didn't have that. And so I was like, that's really strange as well. But it made total sense that the ancestors are connected with the children and they're not in the sky as clouds to signify that they're there, they're closer. So yeah, it was really beautiful to see um, how Source just guided me to go to the park and that the march was happening at the very moment that we were there. Um, and I was able to like capture the sunset afterwards. Let me see if I can find a picture of the sunset because it was really um, potent and very vibrant. See if it will work when I pull it up for us. Uh, it's that sun is right there. Like it's so strong and is right on the horizon. It just was so crazy, so big. Um, yeah, you can really see it there. And it just slowly dips, like it goes down behind the hill. Yeah, it just really was a neat opportunity and a cool thing to have. Yeah, it is really beautiful. The other really cool thing that happened today was um, I we're kind of in a state of transition. So there was a lot of new codes that came in. We had the 3 days on the Schumann resonance scale where everything was dark. It was like a portion of a day, a full day, and then a portion of a day. And then the full moon activated more of the codes that had come in. So that was all happening. And mm, it's like this transition phase of like, should I start new projects? The projects that I already started, we're seeing this through the collective that people are like, I don't know what to do because my old things aren't working, but my new things haven't arrived yet. Like I haven't been given any guidance as to what the new things might be yet, right? So people, especially light workers, are in that space right now because the collective is shifting. So we don't know what we're shifting to do to support the collective. So yes, exactly. So we are all kind of in that phase. Um, and I was trying to talk to them. We have an event that we're trying to plan, and it's coming together, but we're sort of just like we're rolling with it. Whatever is necessary, just let whatever necessary things come into place. Like we're not trying to um, handle it a whole lot. We're just letting it unfold. And so what happened is I went outside. So one of the girls had to back out because she's like, I'm just overcommitted. Like I can't be doing all of this. This is a lot. And so we were kind of bummed and we went outside and we're like, you know what? It's a phase of transition. We're in that zone right now. Like things are going to be like expected because it just makes room for somebody else that this is in exact alignment for. It's important to listen to ourselves because yeah, what might have be shifting out of alignment, it might be somebody else shifting directly into that alignment. And yeah, it's just important to honor ourselves. So I went outside, and this one might be really hard to see, but there's two birds. That there's one. It's a bald eagle, and he's flying. There's the other one, and they're flying above my head. And they're, like, circling, and they're like, "You got this, it's fine, keep in divine flow, no worries, this is great, you're exactly where you're supposed to be," and it's, like, speaking to me as they're flying, and I'm, like, channeling their words out loud in the video. You can see, like, the white tips on their heads and tails as they, like, circle. It was a really cool experience. Yeah. Especially since you don't see bald eagles very often, and then there was, like, a pair, and they were at exactly the right time saying the exact things that I was like, "I think this is just a transition," and they came in and they're like, "This is a transition zone, just, like, flow with it, just let the energy circulate, we're just all gonna be fine." And I'm like, "Oh, I just love my life." Like, I just had so much gratitude for, like, my gifts, like the way I'm able to, be of service to others, the way that things just organically come together. It's just really beautiful to see how things kind of just pull together and are exactly what we need when we need them. So yeah, that's been cool to see. I've had also through the collective there's some feelings of almost like, "Why am I still here? Like, why am I still going through these things? Why is this still necessary?" And, like, really dark thoughts, I guess. So it feels like the lines in the sand, and you have one set of individuals that are like, "I love my life. My life is just so great. I just can't even imagine, like, not being me." Then you have the other group of people that are like, "Oh, like, what's so great about it? I just can't wait till it ends. Like, when is disclosure coming? When is it gonna be done?" And so, yeah, it's supporting those people. I've done quite a bit of that in the last couple days as well, just, working through some of those things. There's a lot of it's bringing up a lot of shadow work need. And then with that comes the voice to me to say, Natalie, you need to put a shadow work, almost like not a journal, but how do you do shadow work? Everybody says shadow work, but what is shadow work? And how do you know it's shadow work? And how do you know it's working? And what are the steps for it? And how do you transmute it? Like all of those things. And they're like, put that in a book and put it on Amazon, Natalie. So I'm like, yes, it's a project. That'd be amazing. And yeah, like I'm just waiting for the transition zone to transition and settle. So because I do not want to start a book on shadow work and then I'd be like, partially through and they're like, "Okay, change of plans. We're actually doing something else." Um, yeah, we'll see that. See if how that works. The strategy of putting yourself in a bowl of water and salt and having like Saint Germain come in and do those things when the channel isn't clear is in the free course under one of the strategies in one of the like modules, I guess. I'm going to keep adding to that course as well. So as strategies become more and more available to me and used, then I can go in and upgrade the course to different ones that have been helpful. Um, so that was good. We did a really good session today as well. Session was about dropping into Egypt, going through the pyramid, accessing the big hall where there's like all these books. The lady client found her book, was able to download her information from the book, go find the dragons, do an adventure with the dragons, and just get into starting her mission. She had left quite a bit of what she called tools for herself. So she was going back and reclaiming, like, there was like this little treasure chest, there was like this wand, all these little things that she had left there. So that was really cool to be like part of that journey with her to like lead into the temples and to just access the things that were there that she had left. So yeah, day in the life of. So I'm gonna just keep on doing these so that you guys know like what is it like? What is it like to just, you know, do this type of life? Um, it yeah, I just feel like it just all needs to be shared because there's so many adventures that we go on and there's a lot of time that goes into it. And it's like, yeah, I have the 4 kids, but I also have a husband, and, I wouldn't be able to do this work if I didn't have him. Like, I'm sleeping while he gets up with them in the mornings. So, I do a lot of this type of work from about 2 to 4 o'clock in the morning. I am working with beings. I am, like, getting planets sorted out. I'm, like, channeling information, I'm running protocols on different things, and I'm sleeping from like 4 till 8 in the morning. My kids do not wake up at 8 o'clock. My kids wake up closer to like 6:30, 7 o'clock, and that is all him. He's like awake at probably 5:30. He gets up, he does his coffee, he does the dishes, he cleans up all the like stuff that might be left out. He gets the kids' lunches done, he gets them dressed. I wake up half an hour before their bus shows up, and it's basically just to make sure all the papers are signed. They're in their backpack because he doesn't do papers. So I do all the like, yep, we know about this. Yep, we know about that. We put that in the calendar. Yep, everything's good. And then he takes them down to the bus stop, and I finish up any of the messages that have come in overnight while they are getting on the bus and doing all of their stuff. So it's like very divinely balanced in that he doesn't do any of this type of work at all, and he's very human, and he's very present, and he's very, like, hands-on with the kids, and if he didn't do that, I wouldn't be able to do this, and it's like, yeah, it's just very balanced because this is a huge part of who I am, and I couldn't imagine not doing this work. This is like an essential piece. When this started, they came in, the archangel came and asked me, "Are you like returning to this side or are you actually staying here on earth?" And I was like, What? Like, what do you mean?" And he's like, "You have the choice to stay on earth or come back and do it from this side." And I was sort of just like, I have a whole family and I already am a licensed therapist. Like, I cannot A, do any more work, and B, I can't leave. I have like three children that are very small and one that's a teen and like is going to need some guidance. So, yeah, I can't leave. And so then I'm like, I don't understand how you expect me to do this work and be a family and like, and they're like, "Oh, don't worry. We've like got it all figured out." And I'm like, "Well, I'm glad you've got it figured out." And I get a lot of help, a lot of like help from the beings helping me do things that I need. So if I have things that I need to do like for the course or to help the collective, they will I'll say to them like, "I have an hour and this baby needs to be sleeping. This toddler needs to go for his nap now and wake up when the other kids come home from school. So I have enough time to do this." And they will just like nicely put him to sleep. He'll like have the best nap ever and I'll get all my work done. Um, so I do work collaboratively with them to help with things that I need as well. Which the things that I need are usually things to help the collective. So it's not like I'm selfishly trying to get lotto ticket numbers or anything. It's like you totally are in service and I've totally surrendered. I was telling somebody um earlier today, I was telling them like our human life is like 10% and our like service to others is so big because it's what fills our cup, I guess. It's like how what fuels us, um, and it feels so necessary. And I almost think of it releases chemicals in our brains, and it's very similar to being what I would imagine somebody who's got an addiction. If I don't do sessions for a period of time, like 2 days, 3 days, on my 3rd day, I'm like, something that like, I have all this energy and somebody better come in for a session because I just have this burning desire to feel the energy come through my body. So it definitely impacts our bodies. I've seen in session different clients that have come in that, um their human vessel actually can't keep up to the energy that comes in. And so you see where I'll do psychic surgery and I'll see their pineal gland or their kidneys. Their kidneys are like, for some reason, their kidneys burn. And so they end up looking like pieces of stuff that should go on the barbecue or got left on the barbecue for too long. And so it ends up like um, when I remember doing them the first couple times, I'm like, "What burned their bodies like this?" And they're like, "That's what happens when that energy comes through. If they're not upgraded in the right way, or if they're not taking care and doing their cleansing routines or their meditation routines, like it's a responsibility." It's not just I was gifted this and off I went. Like you have to work at on those things. And so if you're not careful, it will burn through. The energy will really impact your organs. Um, so yeah, that's a whole different topic, but um, I don't see that quite as often as I used to, come to think of that. So like whatever changes are happening within the collective, it's going the right direction. So yeah, do you guys have questions? I know some of you guys were hanging out with me the last couple nights and stuff, and afterwards I'm like, wow, I should have probably asked if you guys have questions because, um, yeah. Uh, that's a good question. How does somebody know if their stuff is burned out? Usually, it starts with thyroid issues. That was my first clue, that they could not regulate my thyroid, but when they would do the blood test, they would say, "Your numbers are fine. I don't understand why you're having all these symptoms." I had heart palpitations. Um, I would have, like, what else? My hair was all falling out. It was just it was clear something was very wrong. And when I looked up the symptoms for thyroid, well, they told me it was thyroid. Like my spirit team told me that this is your thyroid. And so then I went in, did the blood work. Doctors are like, no, you're fine. And then I went in and ran my etheric numbers, and I realized based on my etheric numbers, which is a basically, I just ask the energy through your body. What's the number for this? What's the number for this? What's the number for this? And if it doesn't balance out, the numbers that are given to me, um, I can tell that the energy is burning through an organ. So then I'll just ask, what organ is it burning through? Usually it's their whole thyroid, then their like thalamus, and their like pituitary are all the ones that will take the hits first. And then you start seeing, oh yeah, and your kidney has that too. It's usually one kidney, and then the other one will just go offline. One will be burned, and one will work overtime, and then just shut down. Um, and then yeah, you just come back in, and then I'll do the psychic surgery, and they'll remove the ones that if it needs to have a new one because it's burned too bad, they'll have it removed and they'll give me a new one to put in. Um, and other times it's salvageable, but they have me put like a blue plasma gel around it to stop it being burned so badly. And then they'll have me redistribute the energy because energy will always take the shortest route. They'll have me redistribute it and be like, this energy over here, this kidney is overcompensating for something else, and that something else needs to be redistributed over here. Less energy on this, more energy on that. And they'll just have me remap it all out. Um, so, yeah, usually you have that because you're a bit of a medical mystery. You might have some back pain but you're like, it feels like my kidneys are painful or it feels like they're achy, but when I see my doctor, there's, like, no reason for it. There's nothing medically that's coming up. It's actually usually on the 5D side. When we go in the 5D and we realign the energy, your body is, like, back in alignment, then, the symptoms go away. Mhm. Yeah. A medical mystery, yes. Mhm. So, yeah, that those medical mysteries are usually solved on the 5D side, where you could come in and you have a look. And I just had one the other day. She was a teen and she came in and she was having her cycles were painful. So we were looking at like what causes that. And right away they were like, telling me in my head, like, this is actually a past life one. This isn't an energy distribution one. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, it's been a while since I had a past life one. So I was able to go into the past life and change the timeline so that she didn't get hurt, so that she could come back into this time and not have that problem anymore. So yeah, it's like the when you start working in the like quantum like that, there time doesn't exist. So you can go backwards, forwards, whatever. There was a lady who found a gem, and we activated it. And when she activated it, we had a collective of men that showed up, and they were all we cleared them for the coal miners from the soot in their lungs, which clears the collective now of being susceptible to, like, lung infections and chest infections. So it's always, like, really interesting to see, like, we're clearing our lineage, but it can also clear from, like, way back there forward and from us, backwards. Like, it's so cool to see, the differences in what we're able to do, what we're able to access, and I feel like we're accessing more and more things. Like, the more sessions we do, the more we learn, and the more we learn, the more like this is funny. There's a directory, and each time you do a task that's new, the new task gets put beside your name. Um, so it's not really like here on Earth, we go through school. And if you need to become a doctor, if you need to become like each level of education, you get new letters behind your name, right? But in the 5D, when we do this work, um, like I don't keep track of it anywhere, but somebody does, and they keep track of it, and they put all the things that I've accomplished behind my name. And so I remember one day asking, like, where clients come in phases. It's all this or all this or all this. Like, why do I get them all in these phases? And they're like, because your name's on the directory. And I'm like, say what? What directory? They're like, yeah, there's this spiritual directory, and so all you workers are on this big long list. And us beings who have, when we find somebody or we're, the guide for our somebody, we send that somebody over and we look through the directory and we're like, oh yeah, Natalie does this. We're gonna send them over and we're gonna correlate it so that they link up and then it's like all orchestrated. So I'm like, wow, all this time I was thinking I had no idea. So that's basically what they do is, each time you do these tasks and they are constantly keeping us in training. So we'll do these tasks, and then at the end, we'll be like, "Well, this one's bizarre. It's got this extra piece to it." And then they'll tell you, "You have to move this, you have to do that, you have to say this." Yeah, like, they'll walk us through the steps, and then you're like, "Oh, now I'll know for next time when I see it." And then your name goes on the directory that Natalie did this. And then I'll get more of those cases. I'm like, wow, now I'm seeing these all the time where they have this extra step in there. They're like, yeah, because now we know you can remove them. We're going to send them to you. I'm like, ah, okay, that makes sense. So, yeah, it's quite interesting. I've never taken a course in the how to's. I've always just had my guides come in and they've always just been like, yes, 5D certifications. My guides have always just come in and been like, Natalie, this is how you send a frequency through somebody. You take your hand, you move it, you do this, and I'm like, oh, okay. Or they'll like tell me a word, and I'm like, I don't know what that word means. I'm like, you're gonna have to show me what that word means because I don't know what it means. And they're like, you've been doing it. What do you mean you don't know? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like a human, remember? And then they'll just like burst out laughing. I'm like, thanks, guys. Um, but yeah, it's like all of it is so much fun, but a lot of I guess maybe sacrifices in it as well, because you're like partly present but partly not. Like we do miss out, I feel like, on a human experience to some degree. And the human experiences we get, we're like, that's clearly orchestrated. Like that's not even a real human experience. Like trying to go to the park, right? Like, and then you're like, "Oh, yeah, by the way, since you're here, can you just light language some protection over these guys?" I'm just gonna read the comments, Natasha. That's medical mystery. Uh, yeah, the system and past life checking on ourselves. Do you hear your guides at all? Or not even your guides, but have a clear way to get a yes and a no? Because I feel like that's your first like starting place. Like I can give you a map, but if you don't know where north is, the map is useless. So it's like as humans, we've kind of lost our way of to like how to navigate. And really all you need to know is a clear yes and a clear no, and then you have your north and your south. And then from there, everything else is like it is easy. Um, you just have to be able to get like What show me my yes, show me my no. That is how all of my sessions start. Show me my yes, show me my no. And then from there, well, off we go. Just they like the spirit team really just does the rest. Um, yeah, it is pretty interesting. My husband would probably have a whole different perspective. I'm like, I'm one of those people that he'll like clean the counter and I'll come along and make breakfast and put the jam knife on the counter and he'll be like, honey. And I'll be like, yeah. He'll be like, the knife? And I'm like, oh, do you want to use it? He's like, no, I just wiped the counter. Don't put that there. I'm like, oh, okay. And I'll be like, "Whatever, like, you're so nitpicky," and I'll walk away. Like, that's such a human thing, like, why would I bother? But, um, yeah, it's quite interesting. Our lives are, yeah, interesting. So it's spotty when you're getting your yeses and nos. So try just imagining yourself in a pot of salt water and then asking for your clear yes and your clear no. Um, And then you can also ask them to dial it up or dial it down. Because when they see that you got the yes and you're like off on your merry little way doing that, they don't realize how hard you struggled to get that yes. So you can let them know, like, yeah, I got the yes, but next time you need to turn it up like 10% because that was really tough. Um, that's the thing, like, a lot of it is visual, right? So, the 5D beings will watch us to see how we respond to the different things that they're sending us. If we respond in the right way, then they're like, "Okay, good, then it's working." They have no idea unless we communicate back to them like, "Yeah, I got the yes, but, like, I had to spend the last 10 minutes meditating, and it was, like, not fun." Um, so, yeah, you just have to, like, communicate and be direct and then ask for what you need. Um, and then they will be like, "Ah, huh, okay." Um, yeah, I had to do that with my hearing. I had to, like, sit and work with them for a while with my hearing because they would say stuff, and I'd be like, "Mm, I can hear them." And they're like, "Okay, good." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I think I should be able to hear better than this." So I had to, like, crank it really crank it up. So I could see. Same with like different visual cues. I had to give them that too, and different spirits. Like basically, you have to set your rules, almost like your commands, like your intentions, because otherwise there's like no rules. And with no rules, there can be some very chaotic times. So there was this the rule in my house is nobody can come in my room. Like there's no beings allowed in my room. And so um, I guess no spirits. That's probably more accurate. No spirits allowed in my room. So nobody that has passed can access me while I'm sleeping. Because there was this lady one time and she had passed and she had seen my name on the directory that I cross people. And so she had come and was wondering why I wasn't moving, why I wasn't responding to her. She was like, I was told you could see me, and here you are laying there not responding. Like, what the heck? She's like, maybe there's some kind of catch to this. Like, how am I supposed to communicate with her? Maybe I just don't understand how I'm supposed to communicate with her. So she jumped on my legs. So I'm sleeping, and all of a sudden I felt this like thing jump on me, and I'm like kicking at it and screaming at it to leave. Um, and then I went back to sleep and I woke up for the day and walked outside my bedroom. I get outside my bedroom and she's standing there and she's like watching me as I'm like walking through the kitchen and making my breakfast and stuff. And she's like somewhat like remorseful and like coy and shy. And so finally I'm done like my stuff and I have time to check in with her. And I was like, what was that? And she's like, well, I didn't really know what was happening or how to get your attention or how to communicate with you. And I was like, okay, so you thought jumping on me would make me happy somehow? And she's like, I didn't know. There was no rules. And I was like, ah, there's no rules. That is an important phrase. Let me go make some rules. So from now on, there's nobody allowed in my bedroom. Spirits will communicate with me when I'm in my bath, when I'm driving, or when I come out of my bedroom. And so then they were like, "Oh, okay, now we know how to do it." It still isn't perfect. It's still you still get these like very bizarre moments where you're like typing and then you're like, "Someone's watching me." Like, so yes, you're watching me. They're like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna meet a lady in 2 days, and I'm her like aunt sister's mother." And you're like, "Okay." Like, there's some really bizarre times, but it's fun. It's like whatever. We just laugh about it. My husband, not so much. He's like, "Can you not be staring at whatever? I know that there's a person there. Could you just like this is creepy." So, like he's a little more creeped out and freaked out by the whole thing, but it's whatever. So how do you state the rules? You just say, like, for me, what do I say? Okay, in order for me to communicate with spirits better, I need them to wait outside my room. Okay, so then they're like, I hear their response. They're like, okay, like, and then I would say, in order for you to get my attention, you need to give me a signal because I will not know. Like, I'll be in my human tasks and I will not know. So, in order for you to get my attention, this is how you do it because they don't know. They'll just jump on you. Well, in this case, she did. Um, so, in order for you to get my attention, the best way to do that is to use for them to use their energy on me, and when they do that, it makes my heart double beat, or it makes my heart beat, beat, then thump bump. I'm like, "Okay, somebody around me is trying to get my attention," and then I usually will, like, go to the bathroom because it's at least somewhat semi-private and quiet, and then I will just ask, "Is there a male here or a female here?" I'll stand them on either side, male on one side, female on the other side, and then I'll be like, "No, it actually feels this way. So this was the male way, so there is a male here." I use muscle testing, so I find it's just faster and easier, so I'll muscle test and be like, "It's male," and then as soon as I can narrow down a visual, then I can see them easily. So I'll ask male or female in order to get a better, idea of who I'm looking for. Um, then I'll just usually see them how I'll ask how old they are, how the other thing is if they're, alive or dead. So, sometimes they are astral traveling humans and they're still alive, so that was a new one for me, when I first started out on doing this work. I thought everybody that was, like, not in their flesh and blood was dead, but that's not the case. There's astral travel humans that come in and they come in for they come in for implant removal and they come in for you to change their timelines for them. If they know they're going to get in an accident, they'll come in and they'll like, "Can you change this for me? Because this is what's happening." And then the movie will play, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that doesn't need to happen." But I can only do that on like I have to ask first if I can do that, to make sure that that's fine. And then I have to, like, play it and then watch to see if anything else changes and then, like, rewind it back and then make changes and, like, yeah, it's a whole process. But, yeah, for setting your rules, you just let them know what the problem is. Like, basically, like, "You won't be able to get my attention if you don't touch me on my heart and let me know that you're there." And then they're like, "Oh, that's how I get your attention. Okay, I can do that." And then they do, and then you'll be walking around Walmart and you'll be like, "Thump," and you're like, "What was that?" And then you're like, "Oh yeah, that was that thing of like how to get my attention. Oh, right. Oh, I got it now." Um, so yeah, those are good questions. Um, so yeah, it really just starts with getting a clear yes and a clear no. If you can do that, then you're well on your way. Um, I didn't hurt my finger. It's actually better. It's fixed, to some degree. So I was on a boat, uh, and, um, while I was on the boat, they wanted to show me that I could be human and that I actually am human and I live here in a human world. And so, Um, I had so I it was funny. So I had My husband had the week off. He bought a boat, he was fixing it. He decided to try to, like, take it out on the water, but the parts were getting delayed, and there was, like, lots of signs that we should not be going, but the kids were really excited to be going because 'cause we've been fixing it all week, and my husband's going back to work, and we're not gonna get a chance to take it out. So we were, like, trying to hurry and ignore all the signs and delays and, like, take them out, not disappoint them. So we, like, got out on the water. I'm like, "Something is very wrong." My husband all the way through this was like, "This isn't right. I don't think we should be taking the boat out today. We shouldn't be doing this." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know, but, like, the what are you gonna say to the kids now?" And so we, like, get out on the water. It feels very wrong, very off, that the sun is not shining. There's no energy. This feels cold, damp, not good. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this boat, um, like, veers to one side, veers to the other side, and, like, almost capsizes, like, veers right up. And, like, I don't know how we all stayed in the boat. Well, I guess, I mean, we're all divinely protected, but we stayed in the boat. But when I veered from one side to the other, my finger, like, um, I don't know, it, like, hyperextended, I guess. It just, like, kinked backwards, but just the tip kinked backwards. Um, so I was, like, crazy. And so, like, right away, I knew it was broke. I was like, looked for all the kids, and they were all still in the boat. And then I was like, "We're going home." And we went home, and I had 2 sessions I had to do. I didn't want to move them or cancel them. So I did my 2 sessions and went and had it X-rayed, and it was broken. So I asked Divine afterwards, I was like, "That was a really bad joke. What the heck was that?" And she's like, "I just wanted to check to make sure that you will always pick being human over being like, you'll always be a mom and, like, look out for your kids before doing the mission work." And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "You're here on earth to be their mom, so make sure you're gonna be their mama." She's like, "I'm glad that you stepped out of divine alignment almost in order to make sure that you were still being, like, a good mom to them, because it doesn't really matter what source says, like, you still need to make sure that you're being the best mom that you can be." And I was like, I was not happy. And so she's like, "You passed your test." And I was like, "I have a broken finger." She's like, "That's to remind you that you need to be, like, human. You're here with your kids. You're a family unit. Like, mission stuff is secondary." And I was like, "Okay." She's like, "But if you ever wanna step out of divine alignment and, like, do something that we actually are, like, steering you away from, you just need to ask for extra protection." Like, speechless. I was like, "Oh." I wanted to say so much, but just yeah, it was a whole event. Um, so it is now fixed. I had it X-rayed, it's fixed, but I felt like it was healing, in a relaxed position, and there was a lump there, so at nighttime, I should wear it, so I just was wearing it. Um, but it doesn't hurt or it doesn't have any problem. It just is literally to keep it straight, so it's not, like, flopping down while I'm relaxing. So can you clarify soul groups? Like, this is crazy how much you sound and look like someone I knew who was a therapist, and I just feel like you 2 are connected spiritually. Very probable. Um Yeah, I feel like they do have different groups that come in. I feel like different groups have different missions, and so you'll have a group, almost like a soul tribe of group of individuals that you're connected with in order to do this part of the mission. It's almost I think of it like an amazing race. Like, you run to this, station, and there's a group of beings there that will help you, and then you run to the next station, and a group of beings will be there to help you. We have that with humans, though. So we'll have, like, on this leg of the journey, you have these humans, and then you'll like start a new leg of the journey and you'll have a new group of humans come in and it's your own ascension journey. And so you will meet different members of your soul tribe and soul group as you go through your ascension journey. So yeah, you'll meet them and they will look similar uh, as you grow and go through things. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Um, our soul groups too, we've known each other in past lives and we've all typically traveled together. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a really close, like, individual. It doesn't, it's not like, um, it can be not even an intimate family of origin. It can be like my neighbor's friend or something. Like as long as you have met them before, then they can come back into your life and you can have them in your ascension journey and they'll come along and they'll come in and they'll help you. So, um, yeah. And I think that maybe sometimes it's, it stops us from doing things. Um, so what I mean by that is sometimes we think, "Oh, this person's like I have so much love for them. They're so, like, beautiful, like, they're so connected to me." And when we feel like it's that, we tend to give them more leeway to do stupid stuff, or treat us badly, or to not be in the alignment and held uphold integrity. So it's important that yes, they can be from your soul group, but it doesn't mean that they aren't going through their own journey as well. And so definitely kick them to the curb and continue your journey because you will meet another member of your soul group that is much more frequently like in the same frequency as you. So that'll be important. And oftentimes those are tests. So you want to make sure that you are able to kick a soul tribe person to the curb and then continue and find the next one that you should be better aligned with. And it happens all the time. I think I'm on like 6 or 7, like, tough, too bad. You're no longer, showing signs of integrity. I'm off. And these people tend to be like, "Oh, I thought you were my homie for life." Well, not if you're gonna act that way. Like, I can't stay with people that are not, showing signs of integrity. So you have to have alignment, and source will pull that. She'll be like, "No, no, 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 no. It's time, Natalie. It's time. It's time. Contract's done. Closing off the loop, tying it in a bow. You gotta go." And so, yeah. And sometimes I'm like, "But can't we try this a different way?" She's like, "I can give you more lessons." I'm like, "No, no, no. I'm closing the door. Good. I'm good. And no more lessons needed. I'm good." Uh, so yeah, does that answer your question about different soul groups? Mhm. So, yeah. I do this type of work, like how I'm like chatting and giving updates and I'm talking about like teaching strategies and things like that. Um, I do that weekly in a paid membership. So you guys are welcome to come and hang out there if you want. We can post the link to that. Let me see if I can find it. Mm, it might not be up. Hmm. It's gonna say it's in my link tree, but it's not. I'll have to find it at a different time and post it in the comments afterwards. But yeah, we do from 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do it for an hour till 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we just do this. And there's a group of us that get together, but I go more in depth into my teaching, um, and probably less into my stories of things. And just we go into yeah, much more about strategies and teaching and like how tos. Um, and then it's a smaller group. I think there's only 7 of us in there right now. So yeah, if you guys wanted to do that, then let me know and I will like hook you guys up for sure. What day is it? It changes. So sometimes it's on Tuesday evening, sometimes it's on a Wednesday evening. It changes, depending on what my husband's schedule looks like. We also talked about moving it to Saturday because people didn't like it that it was in the middle of the work week. One lady could only come on Saturday, so we're still, like, trying to definitely nail down a day. So far, we've just kinda just moved them Tuesday and Wednesday. Mhm. I also do updates in I don't know if you guys remember Ruben. His name is Ruben Langdon. He is the, creator of Interviews with Ed, and he speaks to different channelers on different days, and, I go once a month to go hang out with his members and give, like, energy updates, what the sun's doing, what the beings are doing, what protocols are being done, how they're testing us, how they're preparing us. Um, and this week we just did one yesterday. No, yeah, last night we did one, and it was about discernment, which was an awesome topic and definitely needed. We did how do you know when your channel is like not doing what it's supposed to be doing? How do you know when other people are just talking like that's not right? How do you know when, yeah, your light language is being messed with? Uh, yeah, so it was a good topic. He's a good guy. So if you wanna know about Ruben and that membership, that's actually, I think, in my Instagram, uh, link tree, and he does, I usually go Friday nights, once a month for to go check him out. And he also does things like shares about, like, the state of the earth, like the civilization. So he'll talk about, like, not politics, but like what the banks are doing and how we can safeguard ourselves. But really, I just go for the like update of the spiritual stuff. So, yeah, hopefully that helps you guys out. Take a look at the free course if you guys haven't taken a look at that. That's super important to just be doing your like daily hygiene. Um, and yeah, hopefully you guys are like all good and safe. And I'm gonna try to come in and do more of these like live so you can better understand like what is it like like what does your life really actually look like. um so yeah, anyways, I'm gonna head off. I'm gonna read this comment first. I feel like I'm in need of some work. Be like Yes, take a look at the course. It's got some really cool things in it that my guides actually said, "Natalie, you're not sleeping tonight. You need to put this out today. So get like recording it." And they just had me record and record and record. And then they're like, "Oh, don't forget this one. Oh, yeah, and don't forget that one." And they just kept reminding me of the strategies that I use. And then they said, "This one and this one and this one have to be locked." And I was like, "What? Why do they have to be locked?" And they're like, "Not everybody can have access to that. That can't just be free range for everybody to know. You have to lock some of them." And I was like, "Okay." They're like, "Put put them as a locked portion that they can pay to access it, because they need to already be working, like, and committed on their, like, self-ascension journey." And I was like, "Well, that makes sense." And the part that they had me lock was how the archons and the, like, parasites and the implants, and they're like, "That just can't be public." You just they have to be, yeah, just on their journey and committed to being on it. And so there's also frequencies that are in that locked part, which are cool. I use frequencies if I'm like, I don't have time to clear my channel, I don't have time to go through these things. I just need to like listen to the frequencies and have it clear. Um, and then I also have light language. I also have a meditation in there. The meditation is cool. It is the one that I did for the empowerment portal, empowerment priestess empowerment thing. Anyways, we did a workshop and it is about connecting with your guide and um Christ consciousness. Like we find an orb of light and we like breathe it in, and it's just a really cool meditation. So it's on there as well in that course under the paid section. Um, but yeah, have a look because I think a lot of times we actually need to cleanse and we don't know we need to cleanse. Some of the times it's because it's not a clear channel. Some of the times it's like, I'm trying to think when else You know you need to cleanse when you hear it in your head. Like, so your thoughts are yours and they're owned by you, but all of a sudden you have an intrusive thought that comes in and you're like, that's out of character. When you look back at it, you're like, that is out of character. That is a really weird thought to just suddenly randomly have. Go cleanse. That thought probably isn't yours and it was probably placed there, which means if they are accessing your thoughts, they're accessing you. So go cleanse. So, yeah, hopefully that helps everybody. Anyways, much love to you guys and thanks for like hanging out. Be sure to like subscribe to the channel and get the notifications on so you know when I'm like coming back because I never really know. They just tell me like now, and I'm like, oh, okay. Stop, drop, and roll, I guess, right? So yeah, glad it was helpful to you guys. Much love. Take care. Bye.